Oh, Canada. Home to some of our favorite childhood shows, and of course, the NBA's Toronto Raptors.
And the Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on.
Wait, they played in Tampa last year? Despite making the playoffs for 7 straight years and winning it all in 2019, the 2021 season for the Toronto Raptors was quite literally a nightmare of all sorts. Restrictions forced them to play all their home games in Tampa, injuries completely rattled the team, and the team ultimately failed to make the playoffs despite being a perennial 50-win team over the last few years. However, the bright spot out of a completely forgettable season was the fact that they lucked into the number 4 pick in the draft lottery, and they used that to select Scottie Barnes, who apparently is a fun guy. And not only that, the Raptors still have a pretty talented team that I think is much better than people give it credit for. So much so that they're definitely good enough to at least make the play-in tournament if they are healthy. But before we get into the video, be sure to leave a like on the video, as each like makes a massive difference for the channel, and if you end up enjoying the video, then feel free to subscribe to the channel. The failure of last season has casted doubt in the minds of NBA fans about how far this Toronto Raptors team can go this upcoming season. And even when you look at people's predictions for this upcoming season, you're hard-pressed to find anyone picking them to even make the play-in tournament. But even if the Raptors are off many people's radars, there is reason to believe that they are a playoff caliber team. For one, this team is, as I alluded to earlier, pretty talented. They still have Pascal Siakam, who though not maintaining his high level of play that we saw from him at the start of the 2020 season, is still a very productive player. We know that he heavily underperformed in the bubble, only averaging 16 points per game on 40% shooting, and even his 2021 season was down from his 2020 season. However, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for these inconsistencies because of the circumstances that have been far from ideal for the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, every team had to deal with the abrupt stop and restart of the 2020 NBA season, and that obviously impacted every player differently. And with respect to Siakam, visa issues prevented him from traveling to the US, and local restrictions in Toronto kept him from accessing a single gym for the first few months of the pandemic. This caused him to actually not play basketball for 3 months before heading into the bubble. And as for 2021, the Raptors had to play all of their home games in Tampa, which obviously isn't Toronto. With Kyle Lowry now gone and passing the torch to Siakam, I fully expect Siakam to take up the mantle and perform at a very high level with his increased responsibility. The Raptors obviously also still have Fred VanVleet, who had a down season last year with respect to efficiency, but still remained one of the better two-way guards in the entire league. Next season, with Kyle Lowry gone and this team needing as much playmaking as it can get, I expect VanVleet to at least continue or improve upon what he did last season with increased usage. OG Anunoby is also still on the roster and remains one of the most underrated players in the league. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league by far and has really developed his offensive game over the years to match that stellar defense. This is further exemplified by him going up to 15 points per game in 2021 and shooting 40% from deep despite almost doubling his 3-point attempts from 2020. There are areas for him to improve, such as playmaking, shot creation, and even being more comfortable with his handle so that he can hit more off the dribble shots. But based off his improvement over the last few seasons, and with Siakam missing the start of the 2022 season, I fully expect to see an improved version of him as well. Moving on to the rest of the roster, Gary Trent Jr. is a player who can give you scoring in the high teens while also being a good 3-point shooter on high volume. Goran Dragic, though potentially being moved at some point during the season, provides a team with much needed scoring and playmaking off the bench. I expect Chris Boucher to be a productive piece like he was last year, where we saw a huge bump in production from him, and Malachi Flynn, Precious Achiuwa, and Kem Birch will also be solid contributors for this team. And finally, even though I always preach patience when it comes to rookies, the Raptors' number 4 pick in Scottie Barnes can also be productive for this team next season. As a long, athletic wing, Barnes adds to the defensive personnel of this team as well. He legitimately has the potential to guard 4 different positions, and his playmaking ability just adds to the utility that he can provide for the Raptors next season. I completely get that the Eastern Conference is well improved from last season, and that even teams on the lower end like Charlotte, Indiana, and Washington are well deserving of playoff consideration if healthy. However, in having one of the best coaches in the league in Nick Nurse finally being back in Toronto and having a solid roster, there's no reason the Raptors shouldn't be able to get at least in playing range. That's it for the video, and I appreciate if you guys made it this far into the video. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a like, as each like helps boost the video in the algorithm, and also feel free to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Also, comment down below how far you feel the Raptors are going to go next season. That's it from me, hope to see you guys in the next one, and stay tuned.